Prior CL long validated.
Alright, you guys hear me in YouTube land? Thank you. I'll be back in 1 minute, guys. Sorry for the delay. Having technical difficulties. As usual. Be back in a minute.
Risk disclosure statement. There is a risk of loss in trading stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, derivatives, options, forex, and cryptocurrencies. This risk can be substantial, and therefore investors should carefully consider their financial suitability prior to trading. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. The software, strategies, chat rooms, websites, and any associated websites are digital venues for educational purposes only and should not be construed as an express or implied promise or guarantee that you will profit or that losses may be limited in any manner whatsoever. Users of the information accept sole responsibility for the outcomes of their deployment in Host Apple Trader, LLC, and any associated companies, agents, management, owners, and customers harmless without reservation. Please trade responsibly. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Rule 4.41. Hypothetical and simulated trading performance results have certain inherent limitations, some of which are described herein. No representation is being made that any account holder is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those shown. In fact, there are frequently sharp differences between hypothetical or simulated performance results and the actual results subsequently achieved by any particular trading program. One of the limitations of hypothetical performance results is that they are generally prepared with the benefit of hindsight. In addition, hypothetical trading does not involve financial risk, and no hypothetical trading record can completely account for the impact of financial risk in actual trading. For example, the ability to withstand losses or adhere to a particular trading program in spite of trading losses are material points which can also adversely affect actual trading results. Because these trades have not actually been executed, the hypothetical results may have under or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors such as lack of liquidity. There are numerous other factors related to the markets in general or to the implementation of any specific trading program which cannot be fully accounted for in simulated trading or in the preparation of hypothetical performance results and all of which can adversely affect actual trading results.
This trade room and its webinars are not intended to mirror my trades or to give specific trade recommendations. In analysis and setups, I share trades and potential trades that I'm taking for myself based on my personal analysis. The goal of this room is to teach traders how to identify specific areas to trade with an edge for themselves, but ultimately the decision is yours. Trading is extremely risky, and if you do decide to follow my personal trades, you do so at your own risk and could potentially lose your entire account and even more. I'm not always profitable and have routine drawdowns on my trading accounts. The spreadsheet you have access to is my personal spreadsheet that I use to enter zone values and ATR values that help me pinpoint exact prices for my trades. You can see when I enter zone prices into the master spreadsheet as well as the prices to enter trades whether you want to go long or short. You have the ability to copy this spreadsheet and enter in your own values and use mine to confirm zone prices until you're able to draw the zones correctly yourself. The spreadsheet is not telling you which direction to trade as it has entry prices and stop prices for both long and short positions depending on which way you personally decide to trade. Alright, good morning. Flustered as usual. Missed a bunch of stuff here because I was trying to get online. I did catch an ES long here a little bit ago. I got an Izzy off of this buy ice and I missed the pick. Hold on here. So the markets look like they're going to get smoked again, and they held again. This was this move into this Izzy zone here. Mouse is not working very well either. So it came down in here, got that buy ice in this inflection zone, and took that. There's something new here as well, 2000 sell ice. I will take a fail balance breakout out of that if this turns bullish, this event that's happening right now. So I'm still long Izzy. I missed the pick. I'll show you the market profile composite that I missed. But I will also take that long here. This is an aggressive long, meaning I take the trade first move out of the zone. So if this moves out of here, I'm taking fail balance breakout, my entry. So this is the zone drawing tool. We'll get into all this during the webinar, what this stuff is. But 57.75, it tells me my...
long validated.
Let me put this in here.
Prior YM long validated. GC long retested.
It tells me what my size is, the price is, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go long here in this fail balance breakout. And these things look like they're going to the moon again. Alright, that is working. Sorry guys, I've got like so many accounts that I'm trading now. I'm trading live with a trading firm, and then I've got my accounts, and then I've got the Apex accounts with the strategies, so I got a lot going on here. Give me 1 second, let me put this stuff in. That is working. You see this liquidity up here too. So there's a couple other strategies I can put on. So the first one is fail balance breakout. I just showed you that. This is a list of my... Keep an eye on this too. I just want to see something real quick. This is Hero. Not doing a ton. Max 7 not doing a ton.
long validated.
Alright, so you can see this support stuff here. I will get into this, and again, I'm not an expert at this, but this is pretty There's not a ton of red up here, meaning there's not a lot of options resistance. So that's good for longs right now. All right, I haven't been filled yet. It did just confirm as a bullish setup. So the way I determine if these are bullish or bearish, these events, these stop iceberg events, is if it can push an ATR out of there. That's the blue line. And then we have strategies. If it hits the ATR, it comes back, and then I will take those as well, bark and lick. And you see this liquidity up there. That's a magnet. That's where the market is very, very likely to go.
CM long validated.
And then the strategy I do already have on here is, or I don't have it on yet, I'm about to get filled on it. Fail balance breakout. Fail break of longer term balance where market travels back through the balance area, high volume node. Trades are taken aggressively on the first move. So that would be this situation right here.
HG long retested.
So this is yesterday's crappy trade balance. Tried to break down this morning, held, got through the high volume node first event. I take that aggressively. And I'm watching this. This was a bunch of buy ice the other day. It was like 10,000 buy ice. That's why it's colored here. See how it reacts there. If it gets through there, then it's probably coming back to where this directional conviction started. So once again, the markets, this market, both these markets have looked over the abyss multiple times the last few days, and it just will not die as usual. So you got all these buying tails, buying tail, buying tail, buying tail. Came back again, should have died, right? So that was a balance area there. So some of the biggest moves in trading is when something should happen, right? That's a fail balance breakdown. This thing should have been smoked.
Stop by CL. 242 contracts.
Instead it put in another buying tail
retested.
and now a failed balance breakdown. So this, this looks like it's going to do that. I haven't been filled on this long
RTY
yet
long
either.
retested. NQ short validated.
All right, so that's
CL long
Biden says we are
validated.
discussing Israel striking
Right, so you
Iran oil
Prior
facilities.
CM long retested.
so there's some news out right now, guys. So just
DC long
crude's
entered.
ripping. Equities are pulling back. Why is this frozen here? All right, so something just came out. So, this is why I
Prior CB long
use these
validated.
volume events. So I never
CB
got
long
filled on this
validated.
long.
Crude ice iceberg
And this is
by
about to
CL.
disqualify, so.
150 contracts.
Mr.
Prior YM long retested.
A lot going on, guys.
Yes, disqualified.
They just said something about
YM
Iran,
long
so
the
this is
FTC
news.
upside and WTI
Anyway,
after that headline.
I never entered this trade. I needed to push an ATR outside of an ATR to get in here. Never did it. So this is starting to fail. This just disqualified
Prior
now.
NQ long retested. CL long validated.
Right there.
Crude ice iceberg by CL.
So now I'm going to cancel my longs
182
at working.
contracts.
And now we're getting negative extreme ticks to the
CW short
downside.
retested.
All right. So some news came out. This is markets. That's what you gotta deal with this, right? So, but the thing is, this is why these volume events are the most important thing you can be using, because it's real time volume telling you. There's actually, I think I just missed an event here too. I thought I had time. I wasn't even considering the short, but this was a short setup and this was an Izzy, so I could have taken this
Gold ice
trade.
iceberg by
Although,
TC, 150 contracts.
so you see this did the same thing, right? So I could have taken a long there. I would have taken an Izzy, but I would have waited for an ATR retest confirm its variation number one, just because it was breaking above this balance. So I didn't really miss a trade there as far as the Izzy. So I'm not that upset. If this comes back, I could put on the Izzy short. I could put on barks and licks if this guy is
Prior
pulling.
CL long
And
retested.
he is, and I could potentially put on a red rum. Red rum. We'll go over all these guys. If you're new here, just bear with me. Stuff's whipping around now, so I will try to cover it as best I can. I'm watching 20 different markets, so. All right, so the beauty of the zone drawing tool, let me put this in the YouTube like we do every week. This document, you can follow along with what I'm talking about, and you can get the zone drawer. This is
Prior
what I'm
CM
talking
long
about.
entered. CM long entered.
All right, a lot going on here. Hold on here. Let me put this in here.
CL short validated.
And I'm missing, there's some stuff at Crude. I just got to get over there. Plus, Crude's been kicking my butt lately, so I'm not that excited to even get over there right now. All right, so I'm just waiting. There's nothing for me unless this was a profile courage. Like, I have certain trades where I wait for the retest of the zone, and I have certain trades where I get it in immediately. If this was a pick trade, then I just missed the entry, and that's the way it goes. It looks like it was. So you can see the market came up here. Tried to get out, back in. So if the entry was back inside here, I missed a profile encouraged trade. That was 86.50. Yeah, so I would have been in here. So I missed it, but I'll put these back on if they come back. So I'll put on the Izzy and the pick if this comes back, and Bark and
Oil
Lick.
futures jump more
Right?
than
So if this comes back
5%
to
in
that,
Israel around
Izzy,
conflict.
pick, Bark, Lick, all short. Feels very scary because the markets never want to break, but oops, sorry about that. Reading a little sports there.
Prior and Q long entered.
What did he just say? Prior NQ. Did I miss something down here? Oh no, he's counting. So the Bookmap, it reads off the prior zone, so it was counting this. This is actually an A+ trade, A+ reversion trade that we've got going on too. So I'll get into this, guys. I know I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to get my bearings, but this is a trade that we take. We take these reversion lines, these dotted lines.
Prior Y and long entered.
These are ATR reversions where the market will come back to this zone. Anyway, the best entries are when you get the best trades are when you get entries back in the prior events like that one did. So I'm not taking those right now. I've got enough going on. But anyway, I'm watching for that. If that happens, I'm going short. NASDAQ. Excuse me. As far as this event in ES, this big sell ice, so someone came in here and sold 2,200 contracts. It validated long, it validated short. Per my rules, there's nothing for me to do off this event. That's just my rules. Obviously, there was a news story here.
Prior ZB long retested.
Not obvious,
ZB
but
long
I'm pretty
retested.
sure. I just want to take a look at Hero. All right, so this is like sandwiching between these options. I still have a lot to learn with the trace. My main go-to here is the Hero. As far as watching, and this is updated much quicker. As far as the options flow too, I just keep an eye on this. I don't have actual trading strategies off this yet. I will. But what you want to usually look for is a billion notional move in this, and it's telling you something bigger is going on. This was not quite, but so nothing really going on there right now that I can see. I still take my trades no matter what, but the more I learn about the options flow and understand it, especially the trace, because it looks incredible. We're going to have strategies. I put go to my Twitter. I put up a YouTube video the other day. I was short ES, and I was trying to get to my traditional areas, the lug and the Ludwig level and the liquidity, and the trace was telling you, and this was a big support area, and then the heroes started turning up. They were divergent, so I cost myself. I should have been out of most of my trade, and I didn't. But go watch the video. It's the last one I post on Twitter. All right, so this never retested, so I'm just waiting for a retest. I mean, technically, I could take the pick here, but since these markets are so ridiculously bullish, I'm gonna just, and this was basically something news-driven, I'm gonna wait for that to put on Izzy's and picks. Again, Izzy's and picks are usually first move out of the zone. But I'm going to wait for that. So if I miss it, I miss it. That's fine. There'll be plenty of events if this thing starts heading lower. So I rarely ever chase even a couple ticks in these markets just
At
because.
10:30 a.m. Eastern, we're going to get our
Something right around the corner.
EIA natural gas change.
All right, so this is telling you
Forecast
something
build
as of
57
right now,
BCF
right?
On the prior build of
Just got done
47
talking about
BCF.
how this market, it should have done that. Well, what it shouldn't be doing, and granted the hour's not over, it shouldn't have put in a selling tail, so that's instant rejection, and that was that news story, right? So if this thing starts motoring lower, I'm expecting a much bigger move. We'll see. That's just a thesis, right? So I come up with a thesis based on what's going on with structure. I come up with a thesis based on what's going on with market profile, composites, right? This thing already traveled right back through this thing. I take that back. That was the move up through it. Hold on here. No, it's not what I wanted to do. All right, that's today. So it hasn't traveled back through it, but this is telling you something too. We tried to get out of this guy. Right? This is the same type of, we're looking at the same thing in a different way as far as the balance areas. So this tried to get out. What should happen if markets can't stay out of it? Expect the other side. So that's showing me bearish, potentially bearish tendency. And then the Ludwig levels are another way I come up with thesis. and this is just kind of bouncing around the yellow. So Thesis is just a guess. It's just a guess of what I think is going to happen. I trade long and short regardless based on my volume events and my rolls off my volume events, right? But if my thesis is in line with the volume events and what's going on, then I will trade bigger size, right? A plus setups. But even if I don't have an opinion on what's going on, I still put on the trades long and short based on the rolls off of here. So I didn't do anything with this yet. I'm still waiting for a retest. It may not retest. So that's why, like the picks and the Izzies, I usually will get in first move out of the zone because they're such powerful areas. The market may not come back, and then I'm just sitting here, with nothing on. So pretty sure it'll come back, but don't know. It's about 80% from my studies that market will retest that zone. Nothing to do in ES here. It is worth noting, though, so you can come up with a thesis with this stuff, too. Like, this market did tag the ATR line. I never got filled on that long, thank goodness, because I would have been stepped out. But it's telling you something that it proved to be a bullish event and then rip right back through it. So, not that I'm doing anything off of this one particularly, but, new events going lower, then I have more confidence to go short because this one should have held and gone higher, and it didn't happen. So, I'm watching that. This is getting interesting in here. Again, I did nothing in NASDAQ, but I will be waiting patiently. Just take a look at crude. So you can see that this was.
TB long entered. TB long entered.
Right, now you're starting to get
RTY long retested.
extreme tick readings too to the downside. So this could start getting interesting for equities, and I love a good sell-off. So you can see this just tagged the 1,000 tick line. That means there's more program selling in here. That means the universe of stocks, 5,000 plus stocks. Well, this is the NASDAQ tick, but then this NYSE tick. The universe of stocks are hitting extremes, meaning 1,000 or more in NASDAQ trade are selling, downticking. So that's what that's telling you. It gives you good information on what's going on in the overall market. So that's interesting. ADD's not doing much here. Advanced decline. These are all the stocks. So that's, it's still negative, but it's not like trend down. You see VIX is kind of ripping, and then this is just a synthetic. You can come up with a thesis with this stuff too based on the structure here. It's just the Mag 7 stocks. So you can see some stuff. Again, this is a synthetic. It's just the stocks put together, but it's the same principles, right? You had, so over the last few days, that is the typical failed balance breakdown, kind of held, broke down again. So that's looking bearish too. So we'll see. Not holding my breath for anything to sell off here, but I'm ready to go if it does. All right, a bunch of stuff in crude. You can
Just
see
a
this.
reminder, at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, we have the EI natural gas change BCF forecast
We got the
is
natural
for a
gas
build
number coming out, too.
57 BCF. Prior 47
Something came out. I
BCF.
heard him say Iran, and then you could see this liquidity all pulled out of the book. You see that all these algos they yanked their orders because they don't want to get run over, and that's what caused that move down on equities. So I didn't do anything off of this stuff. I can if I want. Let's see here. This is a pretty wide. So these zones are huge right now because of the liquidity pulled. So like buy ice came in, there was nothing in the order book, and the thing we're talking 100 tick zone here. A dollar zone. So I'm not going to do anything off of this. I'll wait for this to break out of here just because, well, maybe if I want to trade. I mean, this is only 187 that covered 80 ticks, 187 buy ice, and then you had another 300. What I'll do here is I'll trade off of this guy, this upper buy ice, which is now a broken ice event. So let's just see what I missed. It's a little treacherous trading crude lately. It's been a huge pain in the ass, especially with all the news stories coming out, with the war, the Israel-Iranian nonsense stuff that's going on. Not nonsense, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so that was up near 74. This was an inflection zone. This is where this directional conviction started. First test back up. So I could potentially be short right here. It's going to be very scary to be short right here. So that's 73.70. I mean, this event wasn't actually into this zone is the problem. It went a little higher here. But I could take a pick if I wanted to. Pick short.
CW short entered.
I'm just going to hold off here, guys, because one, this event wasn't actually into the Izzy zone, right? The Izzy zone was up here, inflection zone, and I've just elected not to add these together because it was in the news story. So I'm just going to wait for something new here in Crude. So I'm not doing anything. Crude's hard enough to trade as it is when everything looks clear. So I'm just going to back off that for right now. If you want to trade it, your volume events are there. You can see there was gold, huge gold zone here too. So you had a Dumb and Dumber, so you had a sell stops that rejected. Those are usually just the retail trader puke, and then you had buy ice here. Let's just take a look at where we're at here, structure-wise. NASDAQ still hasn't retested, and there's been nothing new in ES or NASDAQ. So gold, from a thesis standpoint, so this is the most current balance here. So tried to break down, didn't. This moves a little higher. Any events a little higher here, I would take failed balance breakdowns like I was going to take in ES, but they didn't get filled. And then this moves a little higher. I would make that a balance. I would make that a balance. This gets motoring up. You can take a balance break out of that guy. You can take the failed balance breakdown, and then you can take we call Breaking Bad, current balance break out through prior balance. So anything I'd say above 26.84.85, I will take all of those trades aggressively. Right here, there's really nothing to do as far as those particular trades, but there's always other strategies I can put on. Let's see what's going on here. Algo guy is bullish. This looks like a red rum too. So red rum is a volume event back into the red ribbon. This is just an exponential moving average. These ribbons, the blue are the shorter term time periods, the red are the longer term. If the blue is above the red, it's a bullish scenario. You know, it's very fleeting a lot of times, but that thing helps, you know, the algos trade off of that, so it's good to be on their side. So this is not confirmed bearish, so if this moves out of here, I could take a red rum long, 26.77. And then if it stays, you know, the algo guy will be bullish. That's my filter for Barks and Licks 2. Blind, ATR, retest, confirm. Let's just see if there's liquidity up here. Yes, tons of liquidity up there. So I would take those trades as well. So if this moves out of here aggressively, I'm going to take, let's see what price that is. I might be able to take those original trades. I was 26.77. I could definitely take failed balance breakdown of this guy off of this, but I wouldn't take the Breaking Bad and then a potential breaking away. I'll go over these strategies, guys. I'm talking like I'm talking to my trade room because I see it every day. I know there's newer traders on here. But I will take a failed balance breakout long here, and I'll take a red rum long. This is gold. These are these prices. So what I'm showing you here is a spreadsheet, trading spreadsheet that is now on the Bookmap heat map. If I can find it.
10 seconds.
There we got the. So this is like this. Well, this is a yes, but this is what we're doing. That's what's on the spreadsheet. So you don't have to input the values anymore. You can trade directly from the spreadsheet, but you put
Build
the ATR in, which
55
is very
BCF,
important.
build
Zone
55
price,
BCF,
and it tells you your
lower than
entry,
you
your
expect to
stop,
build,
validation. You put in your
57
risk.
BCF.
Tells you how many contracts you can trade, and it's all on as the zones are now. So if this moves up, I'm going to put on failed balance breakout and red rum 2677.5. Now you got to adjust. See how this is adjusting because it's adjusting to this current ATR, and it tells me based on the current volatility, size of the zone, and my risk level, I can put on 4 micros or 0.4 of a big contract. I put on 4 micros. So 2677.5. I will put that on. Get these going here. I don't really have an opinion thesis. Well, I mean, it is a failed balance, but actually, I'll trade double size longs on those because everything looks pretty bullish. What was the other one? Red rum. Red rum. Right, that is working. I'm going to put that on the trading firm account as well. Give me a second here. All right. And then if it moves out of here, comes back, retest, confirm, I can put on barks and licks. This is not the lick I'd be trading to because the entry's right here, right? It's not a good, and my stop's going to be way down here. So that's not liquidity I would trade to, but there's plenty of liquidity up here. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If that happens, I guess I should have put on the pick short NASDAQ. So now the issue is, I'll put on trades if I miss them, if it comes back, right? But if I had already been out of some of these shorts, that I should have at least put on the pick there. And this is a 100-point move off of that. If I already got out of some, I'm not going to put it on if it comes back. So this is pretty much dead to me because first of all, I would have probably been out of some at this prior volume event, but I was willing to ignore that. And there's not a ton here. Market profile composite low is 915. Baby look, yeah. I mean, it didn't really get to anything that I would normally get out, so I'll consider it if it comes back up there. But I already missed it. This is a 100-point move. Well, I take that back because then you got spot gamma levels here too. So I'm just not going to trade off of this event. The Izzy, I was fine. Per my rules, I wanted to see ATR retest because of this, it was above all that balance that I just told you. But the pick I should have put on aggressively. And I definitely would have been out of most down here at the spot gamma level. So I just missed that trade. Happened pretty quick. It is what it is. I had a chance to get back in when it popped back up there, but I just didn't do it. All right, let's see what else is happening here. If you guys got questions, throw them in the YouTube, please.
Prior RTY long entered.
There was some stuff in bonds. I was eyeballing YM here earlier, but I just got
Prior
sidetracked.
CL long retested.
Right, so there's really nothing to do off of this for me, right? So it touched the ATR above, touched the ATR below. This one's dead, so nothing to do there. There was some grain. So, I tell my trade room every day, that you're costing yourself opportunity if you're not looking at other markets, especially if you're using the SI indicator and the zone drawer. It automatically draws. You don't have to be watching it. It'll tell you when something fires off. You can hop over to this market because it's all the same stuff. I don't care what futures market you're talking about. It's all the same stuff. We're looking for areas of traders that are basically placing bets, and then we're taking advantage when the other side is wrong. That's all we're doing. These in their own right are the edge, but then when you add these value events into important areas, then you have an extreme edge. And my trading strategies are my areas that I will look for volume events, right? So you're more than welcome to use these, especially come to my trade room. I go over these every day. And it's not to come in there and try to memorize every one of these. It's to pick a couple of them and get good at them, and then add one. And the next year you should have 3 to 5 strategies that you're trading. But these are mine. If you have other areas that you look at, perfectly fine. I just implore you to wait for volume events with the rules around the volume events, and you will be a much, much, much better trader, even if you're already profitable. All right, this is wheat. You had sell ice here. And then you had more sell ice there.
At 10:40 a.m. Eastern Time, we expect comments from Fed's Cash Kari, who
And now
moderates
we
a
got
discussion with
Fed clowns
Boss
talking
Vic
too,
on an
as usual.
inclusive economy at an
Couple
event
minutes.
at Minneapolis.
So
Fed.
this one's a little
No
tricky
exit
where
expected, but there will
it's
be
not
a
tricky. I
Q&A.
mean, I would just incorporate all of the sell ice, right? So this didn't draw on the zone drawer because it has to be threshold, and my threshold for wheat is 150. But this is still important, right? You had 100, 100, 122, 120. So I would just bring this down and make this all one volume event. You can see where this spiked here. So on my course, I talk about how to draw these zones because that's before we had the zone drawing tool, right? So sometimes you have to adjust them in this situation, right? Other times, most times they're spot on, but other times you got to adjust them. I just want to see if this was anything. Not really. So that is the zone I would use for wheat. That's step one. I'll come up with it, see if we're in any important areas. So this is sell ice. It's basically here. Part of it's into the zone. I could take an Izzy long if this turns out to be a bullish event. And what you can look for here too is just a little balance from yesterday, but I'd watch for that. Failed balance breakout. Anything basically over 612. Yeah, probably 614. You can take failed balance breakouts there too. So this zone's about 3.5 cents wide. So if this holds, I'm going to take an Izzy long and a failed balance breakout long as a broken ice setup. So I have 6 distinct setups that I trade off of. I'll show you these here. I'm sure if you're new here, your head is probably spinning, but I try to make these Bookmap webinars a little more basic as far as and simplistic as far as explaining this stuff. But anyway, I will get in at 1475. It's telling me my position sizing, FBB, and Izzy. And let's just check if there's any other areas quickly. No, there's nothing going on anywhere else, guys. This is why I look at other markets, right? When the equities are doing nothing, like, there's opportunity all over the place. Nothing really here. This is just a single day. I don't trade off the value areas of single day. I do merge them, and that's where I get my market profile composites, but there's just nothing here for that. And then I trade the Ludwig levels as well. I look for events there. There's nothing there. We're just kind of bouncing below there. So 2 strategies that I will put on here. Izzy, inflection zone trade. I just showed you that. That one's going to be aggressive. And then the failed balance breakdown. Failed break, a longer term balance. Excuse me. Let me see this. Sorry, I've been a little under the weather this week. 1475, and I put on 2. It says 1.4. You can't put on 0.4 of a contract. You can trade the micros, but they're a little sketchy here in grain, so I'll just round up. I'll put on 2. 614.75 is the price. Give me a second here. I gotta channel through all these accounts. All right, those are working.
Shortly expecting comments from Fed's cash
All right, we got
and
Fed
Fed's
guy
Bostic.
coming out here. So you got to decide. So the other thing in my trade room, you can see here too. You can hear him talking. You get access to this as well. You know what? I don't think I ever trailed my stop. Hold on a second here. Let me check my AP. Yeah, I never trailed my stop to this event. That sucks. All right, so I took a soybean loss earlier. We can go over that. I should be out of this trade. Actually, right here I would have been out, so I got lucky that it came back. But I forgot I even had that on because I had so much going on. Let me get out of this trade here. Let's do it this way. It's easier. All right, so I was long earlier off of this guy. I went over it already. There was an Izzy and a pick. I missed the pick, but I was long off this guy. I got in aggressively, right? And then my rule is new event. I got out of a couple up here. It was a market profile composite. I'll show you that. But then I trail my stop to the most recent event. So I just forgot to trail this. I just got lucky it came back. This could, this is what I do. Make mistakes because I'm covering all these markets. But this thing could have easily just run off the page and I still would have been long. So I got out basically where I would have already been out, but that could have been not good. So I got up there. But anyway, I did get out of port. I had 8 on, 8 micros off of that, and then I got out a half up here. So these are the areas that I get out at as the market makes money available to me, as Mark Douglas from Trading in the Zone says. That was up here. And that was the exact place to get out. So you can see these are areas that I will get out. I actually, well, no, because that volume event turned bullish. But if there was a bearish event up here, I could have taken a pick here. But anyway, I got out of some up here, and then I got out of the rest on that sell ice. So when I refer to these areas, I am talking about, trying to find it here. I can't find it. It's my trading in the zone document that so let's just do this instead. This is my trade room. You guys were catching some nice trades earlier. I saw that. Nice work. Lick winner, ATR winners. Anyway, what I was trying to find here is this guy. I think it's still in here. All right, there's another extreme tick rating too. So I do have trades for that. If I hear a volume event on extreme trade rating, extreme tick reading, I will jump in a trade, and I don't wait for the ATR. We'll see if that happens here. Hold on here. I'm trying to find this document. Sorry. These are the ATR trades. We can get in that. Here it is. So when I'm referring to these areas, number 5, I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. So that would have been, where I got out of half of those ES longs, market profile composite high. So that's where I got out of some. If my trade room was long, they should have been getting out of some of those there as well. All right, so now we're getting, I don't know if this guy's talking already. All right, so there's nothing to do here yet. So the newest trade that I've introduced, trade strategy, you can hear the extreme tick ratings. I'm really glad I didn't put that pick short on who wants 100 plus points. So say something happened right now, right? You can hear that dinging in the background. That means we're hitting extreme ticks. Well, the newest trade is called the tick-tock, right? So when you get extreme tick, and the minute I hear an event, I just jump in the trade. I don't wait for the ATR out of the zone, right? I just jump in, and it's a great risk-reward trade. You know, I'm fully aware and understand R and understand, you know, if you wait for confirmation, you know, you ruin your odds. You don't ruin your odds, and your odds are much less as far as, right? So if I were to take this trade, I don't get in for all my other strategies. I wait for it to push the ATR out. Well, you saw in the ES that actually saved me a loser. This is just the best way that I've determined to trade these over the 8 years now, right? So I would love to get in right here, but I just, you know, my winning percentage was way worse when I would just jump in these things than wait for it to push an ATR. So that's why I do what I do as far as waiting for that. And you see, like you guys have seen today, that actually saved me from this ES loser, right? I was waiting for this to push outside of an ATR. That's the yellow line on the zone drawing tool, and never tagged that. I never got long. So I saved myself a loser there. That's why I don't just jump in these things right when I see them. So I forgot what I was getting at there. Lost my train of thought. So the one trade I will do that, one trading strategy I will do that. It's called the tick-tock, and it's been actually pretty successful. Just not surprised because you have these algos that love to do these fade trades, right? So take any fade trades on an NYSE tick extreme, and for the NYSE tick extreme, you trade the YMRES, or an NQ tick extreme. That's where you trade the NQ, right? So it didn't happen, but just a heads up, because if it happens, I'm going to jump in and trade here. Like right now, if that thing, you heard it ding, right there. Well, if I would have got a volume event in NASDAQ, I would have jumped in right away, not waiting for an ATR, because you got these algos that play the reversion back to zero. So what I tell my room too is, so you got the volume event, right, with the traditional stop. Well, you hear the volume event, you get in, you use the traditional stop, and then you have such a better risk reward, right? Because you're not risking all the way down here to, or waiting for the ATR out of the zone. You're getting in right here. So that could be, 30, 40 points difference. So what I say is, once this thing ticks back to zero, get out of some of them, right? Because that's the move that you're looking for, is at least what these algos are doing. And then you can let the rest ride, and you're just risking your traditional stop, right? But you're not waiting for it to move the ATR out of the zone, just in that one strategy. There's going to be other strategies, especially with the hero and stuff, but that's down the line. We got enough here. Again, these are not for, you come in my room, these are not to do all at one time. I do them all at one time because these are my strategies in my head for 25 years. Pick a couple of these, get really good at them. The best ones. Some are more active, like the barks and licks are active because they're everywhere. The other ones, they don't happen that often. I mean, you get the slugs, but the slugs are probably the best one. You're taking volume events at the Ludwig levels. Izzy's, those are more active picks, but these are my strategies. Again, take them. You can make them your own. You can add things. Fine. All right, so pretty quiet here. Might as well turn on tick strike to get annoyed while we're waiting. The only thing I got working here is that gold long, those gold longs, Izzy and failed balance breakout. Oh, and wheat, right? Wheat long too. So did this confirm short? No. So if this confirms as a short setup, I cannot take longs off of this. That's how I determine it. What determines that? If it can push an ATR out of here. So you see the ATR right there? That's what this blue line is right there. So it didn't tag it yet, but if it tags it, then my longs are canceled that I was working up here. The trade that's happening right now, and this wasn't quite an A plus because this was the one ATR line. So I know that it looks like there's a lot of stuff here. So these dotted lines are the ATR trade where you're trading for the move back to the zone, which you're seeing right now. The dashed dotted lines are the stops for that. So if you took the one ATR here, that entry, which you would have been filled, it looks like the tick. Well, your stop for that is this first dashed dotted line. The 2 ATRs here, the stop for that is there, and then you got the 3 ATR and the stops down here. That's what these lines are for. These lines are for to determine if the event's bullish or bearish. We just talked about that. And then the entry, I wait for it to push just outside of an ATR. Why do I do that? Because these algos love to snap the market back at an ATR back to these volume events. It's uncanny. That's why we have a trade for that. That's more of a scalp trade. That's the reversion trade. So I wait, if I'm taking position trades, I wait for it to push outside of an ATR to put the trade on. So again, you saw it save me an ES earlier that I didn't have to take a loser. So we'll see what happens here. If you took that reversion trade, that is working nicely. If I jinx you, hope I don't jinx you if you're in my trade room. So what I'm talking about here is, again, off the spreadsheet. So we have two different types of trades that you can take. Everyone wants to scalp. That's the best way to scalp that I've seen is taking these reversions trades. This stuff is for the position trading. That's where I wait for the outside the ATR to enter, and that is the entry price. So say this was the zone, right? This is not a current zone, but if this is the zone, this validates the trade as a long. This validates the trade as a short, these prices, right? And then if I were going to get in, you can see it's a little higher because I make it push another 15% of an ATR out of there to enter the trade. And then the reversion trades are down here, right? You get in there, you stop there. This is the closest thing you can come to being an algo if you're doing this stuff by hand. And you do it, you take every one if you're going to take them. The question I always get is, well, which one do you take? You take the 1, the 2, the 3? I don't know. I know the propensity for these things to come back to the zone is at least 70%, probably more, right? But I don't know how far it's going to go before that happens. The sweet spot is usually the 1, the 2, or the 3. It could go 4 or 5. Doesn't usually go more than that before you get a new volume event. The point is, if you're going to take these, you got to trade them like an algo, meaning you take every one. So if you took this one, and we have disqualifiers, you probably wouldn't have taken that one because of the relative volume coming in. But the point is, if you're going to take them, you take them. This one would have lost. Your 2 would have lost. Your 3 is alive, right? So that's just trading. You just keep putting them on, and you put enough on, you will be a winner. But you don't. This is not subjective. So you don't put the 1 on. And when I first introduced this, there were guys in my room who were like, "Oh yeah, I got the 1 on, and I decided to hold it and see if that could." You can do whatever you want, but if you're going to trade this trade, it is you're in here and you're out right in front of that zone, and that's the trade on the next trade. You're like an algo. So there's no subjectiveness. You look at these values and you put the trade on. So if I was going long on this zone, I'm long there, my stop's there, I'm out there, and on to the next trade. If you're going to do the 2s, here's the 2, here's the 3. So the point is, all of this stuff is on the spread on the heat map now, so you don't even need the spreadsheet. You still want it because there's times you got to adjust the zones and everything else and confirm zones, but that's what the zone jar is. All right, so it's completely dead right now, as usual.
To analyst, a news reporter on.
Here's your retest of gold.
Saying that
So
Biden
congratulations
was asked
to my
whether he
room
would
on the
support
1
Israel
ATR.
striking
Took that.
Iran's oil facilities. He said that we're discussing that, and I think that would be a little anyway. And he left it there and moved to the next question, adding, nothing will happen today. Nothing that's, so no other detail that's been provided
This financials
from that.
juice squad guy is new. You can tell he's kind of struggling.
Biden was asked whether he would support Israel.
So I guess Biden's talking. Usually when Biden talks, the market gets killed. But
Said, we're discussing that.
so there's just nothing going on right now,
There will be a
guys. So
little-
just might as well go over this
And
quickly.
then he left it there and moved on to the next question.
Let's take a look at this stuff first.
Adding that nothing will happen today.
This financial guy, squad guy, is struggling though. So you can see this. You know, the trace has been spun on. So this is options dealing stuff. Go watch his webinars. He's been doing a bunch of them lately. Go to my YouTube channel. So this is what I was telling you guys earlier. If you wanted to see here, I'll just play it real quick because it's only 2 minutes. It's actually nothing's going on. This is a good learning. I learned the hard way the other day. So that's this. Let's just watch it real quick. Right, this was off my trade room webinar. Where's it at? Right here. Short snippet of today's PM live trading webinar where I go over a mistake I made trying to squeeze out more profit in my ES strategy shorts earlier in the day and not seeing the divergences in spot gamma, S&P, and Mag 7 Euro. Combine that with the delta pressure support on the new trace indicator was also confluent with the spot gamma 0 gamma level, and I should have been out of the majority, if not of all, my position. Lesson learned. And then if you want to watch the replay where he talks about the basics of the trace, click on that. But this is the video. It's only 2 minutes, so we'll watch it. Turn this up. Here. So that was 57, 63, 75 to 64. It's right about there. I took that. I think I took that for some out at the time. Yeah, I mean, it did do the ATR retest, I think. Did it? Yeah, so you did get the ATR retest. I think I took it aggressively at the time off of that, and then I got this, and I put on marks and legs, and these were nice trades. I had like 15 points in them. But, you know, I was like, okay, I mean, just my stuff alone, I don't put on trades because of, you know, news stories, geopolitical stuff, but I had that when I got my sales too, so I'm like, okay, I think that's gonna make it there. So I wasn't paying attention to the euro and stuff. So first thing I should have seen when that thing moved down here.
Prior TL disqualified.
See this? So you can see the Mag 7 started moving up way early. So this was 9 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock central. No. 11 o'clock central, 9 o'clock my time, right? So that's right here. That's way over here. So the market didn't move lower, and that's fine, because again, the Mag 7 is not obviously those isolated stocks, but that's not the whole market, right? But when it does this, it comes back down here again. Now we're an hour later, we're still at the 0 gamma level. This thing still didn't really budge to the downside. Right? That was right around here. It actually kept going up. Then this started to rally. Right around there. So that started to buy, and we were into the Grumpy posted it, and on the trace, there's that support area on this area. So, you know, I don't know yet how far you have to judge to get into this stuff before you say, okay, that's support. But when you put the things together, you know, Mag 7 Euro was already going higher. You got all this blue. Then the ES started going higher. Okay, I just took that out nice and butter. It should work out great. I'll show that here in a second. But anyway, you had that. You had both heroes going higher, and you had this support at a spot gamma level. You know, I should not have been so greedy. I should have lightened up and maybe kept like, you know, a couple on here. But that my mistake is your gain, and I'm going to really start paying attention to it. Again, the options dealers are not the only players in town, especially during days when there's news headlines. But there was a lot of information there where it said this thing's not going right now. So So there you go. So that was the mistake I made the other day. It was the best explanations on the going on. You can see today it's the same type of look as far as at least the delta pressure on the new trace. Right, came into this purple, violet, whatever color that is, and came into that, resisted, came in here. So what he talks about is the market usually will gravitate towards this wider area, like that sandwich in between these. That doesn't mean it can't get into this, but eventually it comes back. So on most days, again, guys, these are not, and you can see the biggest zero date to expiration is right here. So it'll gravitate towards that too. These are options dealers that have to hedge with futures. They are the only game in town? No. But most days they are, right? Like right now, there's nothing going on. So I would expect Hero and this stuff to be spot on, right? So I don't claim to be an expert on this. I'm learning right along with you guys, but like I said, go watch that webinar. Go to that YouTube link. I can even post it in here, or this. I'll post this in the room so you guys can study and try to find it. Hold on here, and then we'll go over the other stuff. There is just nothing happening. So that's the link to the Twitter. No. Well, what is that? Oh no, that was the same document. Sorry, it didn't copy. Give me a second here. Try this again. Copy link. There you go. All right, that should work. Sorry about that. All right, so it is completely dead. Nothing's going on. You got questions? Throw them in. Wheat. I was working longs here. This is about to tag, or did it already tag this? It did, or no, it didn't. Yeah, Bookmap Bob will let us know too. You'll hear it. So I'll cancel my longs if that touches that, and then there's potential shorts off of that event. Other than that, there is just literally nothing happening right now. Let's take a look at this. ZL. I'm not gonna trade ZL right now. I missed an RTY. Let's see what we missed there. I guess we can go over trades even if I miss them. I'm not sure why this is saying long. This did the same thing, right? So guys, I don't trade these. This just tells you it's a chop fest. To touch the ATR above, ATR below, I don't trade them. So there's nothing for me to do off of that event. This was a bunch of sell ice coming up here too. You could make this one, but that's a lot of ground. So nothing for me to do there either.
OPEC September oil output falls by 390,000 barrels per day from August, 26.14 million barrels per day, led by Libyan losses.
Crypto says, Crypto Chemist says, where can I find the trading strategies document? It's part of my trade room. So if you come on my trade room, I go over those trades every day. So every time I put a trade on, I pull up the trading document and say, this is what these, because they're just my important areas. Then I go over each one of these trades. Right, this is what I do. I look for these areas. These are my important areas where I look for volume events. So that's all part of my trade room. Let's just go over this stuff now.
Release from the IMF.
Nothing happening.
The spokesperson says
here's my course. So this
continues to grow and inflation is on track to return
these volume
to 2%
events.
targets.
We have distinct names for them based on what's going on with them.
And the spokesperson says the fund is closely monitoring the escalation of the Middle East conflict with grave concern.
You've been in a bunch of these. These are very basic webinars.
And they say the US Federal Reserve should continue a data-dependent and meeting-by-meeting approach to monetary policy easing.
So, you can learn, I say this every week, right? You can learn this stuff on the fly, but I'm trading live, so I don't have time to go through all the basics every time I put a trade on. I'm watching so many markets, it's just not possible. So if you want to fast track it, then you get the course, you learn the stuff, you learn the rules, and then you're not scrambling when stuff's really trading or you're on my webinars, right? That's this here. Of course, you can get to this through the Bookmap marketplace or my website.
So the US to sell $81 billion in 3-month bills on October 7th.
This
to
is
settle
all.
on
This
October
goes over
10th,
everything: the settings,
and to sell
add-ons,
$72
the thresholds for
billion
each
in
product.
6 month
This is part of the
bills on
zone drawing
October
tool
7th
now.
to settle
Well,
on
you don't
October
need it, but
10th.
you still want to know it to draw it for
short
yourself.
validated.
Adjusting your thresholds on certain days when you keep seeing huge thresholds coming in, you want to adjust them. So say Nasdaq, which it is, the threshold's 150. Well, if you keep seeing 300, 300, 300, you probably don't want to be using 150 that day, right? So that's what I talk about
The
there.
IMF notes that the
Some
US
chart
Fed
settings,
is
on
acting
chart
in
settings,
an
sweeps
appropriate
indicator settings.
manner.
I got to get this back on. Actually, I took it out because they had a bug, but I got to put that back on. And then how to draw the zones. So this is like a progression because I was drawing them wrong for years. They still were profitable because the area is
spokesperson
profitable, but I
says
didn't have the
fiscal
exact prices
policy
right because
should
I was
focus
drawing
on
them like in the edges of the bubbles
consolidation
versus
to help
the middle of the
rebuild
bubbles.
fiscal buffers,
But they still
which
work.
should
But this
hit
is a progression of
sustainability.
how to draw the zones, right? And then again, the zone drawing tool does it for you automatically now, but there's times you have to adjust, like you saw me doing in wheat. And then these are this distinct setups I was talking about, right? So we have the dumb and dumber. That's when you get a stop run that rejects. Stop and hold is when you get a stop run with the big money comes behind it. Titanic, when a buy ice area holds and goes higher. I know it's very technical. Broken ice is when the iceberg breaks, meaning like, say buy ice comes in and they're wrong. So guys, the whole, when we say icebergs, if you guys aren't familiar, icebergs are just hidden orders in the order book, right? So these big players, they cannot just throw, for instance, this one earlier was 2,000. So if this entity just threw in 2,000 in the order book, right? You can see, look at this order book. It's hundreds, right? 50,
The US
60.
itself,
If someone drops in
$58 billion
2,000, these
in 3-year
algos
notes
see
on
that and they
October 8th
run
to
it away
settle
from
on
the order
October
trying to make
15th.
this guy chase because they think he wants to do business. So they make him chase. He sells it way down here and then it comes right. So then they buy it and then they run it right back up and they get out of their trade, right? So they have to hide their orders. So the CME allows you to only display a portion of your order, right? So if it's 2,000, I think it's 10%. It's been 10% for a long time. So say this person wanted to sell 2,000 here, and that's this right here. All they have to display in the order book is 200.
In the US to
So
sell
someone
$22
jumps up here
billion
like, oh, there's
in
200. I'm going to sweep those
30-year
puppies, and this thing's
bonds
going
on
higher.
October
And then they
10th
buy it,
to
and then there's
settle on
1,800
October
behind it,
15th.
hidden.
Sell
And then it
$39
triggers
billion
once it's traded into, right? So it's like they get a
10-year
mouthful of
notes
sell
on
ice, and you can see
October
that
9th
one
to October
held. I
15th.
mean, it didn't fit my criteria to short it, but the point is, that's what the icebergs are. So very important because you can see all these blue bubbles here. Someone was market buying this like crazy, thinking it was going to go higher. Somebody, a bigger entity, said, nah, not so much. Here's 2,000 down your throat, right? So the whole idea of this is to take advantage of these areas. Someone is going to be right. Someone's going to be wrong. Paper is not always right. Paper, meaning the big money, is not always right, but they're right more often than they're wrong because they're the big money. Some of these entities have tens of thousands of contracts they can put on. So if it comes up here and they keep putting in 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, eventually the market's going to relent, right? So we have trades for when they're wrong. So I've never said from day one that you just jump in when you see sell ice, you just sell it. No, I mean, maybe if you do 1,000 of them and you just jump in, you'll probably be profitable because they're right more often than they're wrong. I don't know the percentages on that, but I do know the areas what's important. So the way we trade these, and you never know what they're going to be doing. That's the question I always get. Well, or the detractors. Oh, well, you don't know. They could be hedging. They could be getting out of their longs from down here. I don't care. It doesn't matter because if you watch these long enough, you'll see all you need to really know is the area because there's traders on both sides of this trade. And the way when it moves out of here, that's what we're taking advantage of. It's just fuel. The odds of this thing moving directionally are much better when you get an area that's concentrated where traders got to get out. When nothing's going on, then you get these algos running you wild, ragged, I should say. So that's not the trade I want to participate in. As far as positional trading, the reversion trades you do, but I'm looking for my position trades where I'm looking for bigger moves. That's why I demand this stuff. All right, we got some stuff coming in here. I just talked right over them. Finally got a couple of events here, so you see the bias coming in. You got 817. And then another, so you got almost 2,000 bias. This could be, I don't know. You're never going to know. The old days you could tell because you can see counterparty. If you trade into them, I would ding this and see who these orders were and say, okay, yeah, that's this house. This was close. That was 2,000. This is close to 2,000. They could have sold up here and getting out of here. I don't know. Unless you're God Almighty, you're not, or sitting next to the dude, you're not going to know. All I know is this is an area where people are selling aggressively and somebody's buying it, and now I'm going to take advantage of it the best I can. So in this case, I'm going to combine them, right? This is very obviously one house. I mean, you have some stuff over here too, but it was in the same area. So you can see the market's responding to it. I'm going to put that in. Put that in. I better hurry because this might be an area. So that's the first step. Determine the volume event. Now let's see if this is an important area. My important area. So that was, what was the price of that? 38.50 to 33.50. That is right in this Izzy zone, right? So I could take an Izzy long off of this guy. This is a very, very important zone for this market, and it's still holding. If this breaks, say goodnight, I think. So anyway, this thing rejected again. Here we are again, buy ice. I'll take it. But if this breaks, this stuff's gonna get smoked. Then that's fine. As if that's right now, it's telling me to go long. So in this case, it's an aggressive entry, meaning I'm not waiting for a retest. So first move out of here, I'm putting on the Izzy long at 51. There's the long aggressive. It's just outside of an ATR for your entry. And based on the volatility right now,
so the S&P
this
500
right?
is
Wow.
down
This is
0.3%, the Dow down
ATR.
0.5%.
It doesn't feel like this
Nasdaq
market's
is
moving,
turned
right?
negative,
Because all this
down
going on.
0.2%.
The ATR is 11 in here. So this is a great example of, traders that are very likely not successful that love to, when I put on my ES trades, I risk 2 points to make 4. Good luck risking 2 points when the ATR's 10. You are going to get whipsawed out of probably 99% of your trades, right? You might get lucky on one of them where you risk 2 points and the thing runs off the page, but more than likely you're going to get whipsawed. You're risking 2 points in an 11 ATR. This 11 ATR means it's rotating 11 points every 5 minutes. 11 points. You put on a trade where you're risking 2, it's almost guaranteed you're going to get whipsawed out of the trade. So anyway, based on the volatility right now, this is the beauty of the zone drawing tool, aka the spreadsheet, based on my risk, and I'm risking 10% on these Apex accounts. We'll go over that. But if you're risking your money you're living on or your real money on, don't go more than 2%, because if you have a bad day, you're risking 10%, you're going to blow out your account. Trust me, you're going to have a bad day, and this will happen. I 100% guarantee it. So limit your risk to 2% a trade. Don't risk more than 5 or 6% of your account in a day. If it's not working that day, you lose 6%, just say, done, uncle, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm not going to go into that rant, but that's one of the most important things that you can do. All right, so if this touches this, I'm going to go long. All I could put on is 3 micros based on my risk level, right, for these Apex accounts. So Izzy, 57.51 long, that's one area. Let's quickly look over here. And this is back in this, it's kind of still the white, it's kind of changing a little bit here. It's not quite in that, but you got a little support down there for this. Let's see what Hero's doing. Hero's actually moving lower. So again, I don't have, you see my trading strategies, I don't have anything saying, if Hero, take this trade, take this Izzy trade, unless Hero's going down. I don't have that as part of my trading right now. Doesn't mean you can't add it in. You can say, yeah, I'll take the long, but I'm not taking the long. Like there's a very good trader, Madam Shizzle, in my trade room. She won't take longs if this is if the Hero is 3, I think she said 3 billion, 3 or 4 billion notionally, she won't take any longs. Absolutely fine. It's not for me to say what you deem is important. If you say, okay, yeah, I'll take the Izzy, if it's a bullish event in the Izzy zone, I'm good. But oh no, if it's minus $1 billion or more, I don't take that. Fine. You just got to be consistent and do it every time. I don't have that as part of my trading right now, but trust me, if I keep putting on Izzy trades and I notice, oh yeah, the Hero is under $1 billion and I keep losing, well, of course I'm gonna add that into my strategy. Right now, I don't have it. I try to keep them as basic as possible because I don't want to confuse people. Some people don't have the Hero, so what am I going to say? Take your Izzy trades unless the Hero is blah blah blah, and people are like, well, I don't have spot gamma. Well, that's fine. You don't have to have spot gamma. The zone is very important as it is, but this just enhances it, and you can use this stuff to keep yourself out of possible losing trades. Egg 7's not doing much, so if this moves out of here, I'll take the Izzy long. Take a look at Algo Guy, see what we got going there. Oh, I wanted to see if this was a pick trade too. So I missed the pick in here earlier. I caught the Izzy, but I missed the pick, like I said at the beginning of the webinar. Yeah, so if this gets back in here, I could take an Izzy long. Volume events basically right there, but the entry would be back in here, and I'll take that. So when markets get back in these market profile composites, you expect the other side. So that's a pick. I would take that. If that moves back in there, 57.50. So again, based on this volatility, all I could put on is 3. So, and you got to adjust with this as this changes. So until I get filled. Once I get filled, I don't change my stop. So if I get filled on this at 50.50 long, my stop's all the way down here at 21.50. I could just feel the eye roll. Oh my God, you're risking 30.1. The ATR is 10, right? This is the best way that I've determined from watching these for 8 years, tens of thousands of these, to stay out of Algoville, right? So if I'm going to put on this trade, I get in here, I'm forced to get the ATR out of here, and then if I'm going to be wrong, it's got to come back that at full ATR. It's got to get through the volume event where all these traders are caught that are short, right? Then it's got to push another ATR out for me to get out of the trade so I don't get algoed. Once again, if you say I'll get in here, but if it comes back to the zone and gets through that zone, I'm out right there. Fine. Guys, you can do whatever you want. Get Bookmap, replay the days, watch 10 million of these things, and then if you determine that's the best way to get out of it, get out of it there. I've determined from watching so many of these that I'm going to force all this to happen for me to be stopped out. That's why this reflects in my position sizing, because it takes into account the amounts, how much I have to risk here and the volatility. It's the best way I've determined. If you come up with a better way and you show me, results over 6 months or a year, and you say this is the best way, I'm all ears. I'm always for improving my trading. Any trader that tells you that they have the way and I'm never changing, then that's not someone you want to listen to, right? Markets are ever changing. It's not that you want to change every day, like on a whim, but if I keep seeing something, then I adapt, right? That's why if you got my original SI course I made in 2020, my rules for entering these are way different because at the time, that was the best way. I would get in the minute I broke out of the zone, I'd risk the other side. Well, after taking loss after loss after loss during this nonsense, I'm like, okay, there's a better way. And we've adapted, to this point. So, if you get if you have my first one, that's what I would talk about because that's how I traded it back then. But I've made it better, and that's what you want to do as a trader. You want to make your trading better. All right, so this comes up here. I'll take Izzy 50.75 long. Put that in. It'd be nice not to be sick one of these days. All right, that is working. And then there are things I can put on here potentially. Yeah, there's look up here. So I would say this tags the ATR line. We'll look at algo guy. As long as algo guy's bullish, if it tags the ATR, retest, confirm, I'll put on bark and lick as well. Not that lick because I'm getting in right here. What am I gonna? I'm gonna risk 30 points to make 2. That's not a very good. You're not gonna be around very long if you trade that way. This is the lick I would shoot to if that were to happen. Right now, algo guy is actually bearish. And this is kind of telling you something from a thesis standpoint too. It doesn't mean I'm doing anything off of it. I'm just observing, right? Market pull. This is the actual market price. Tried to pull. Blue couldn't pull. Tried to pull again. Blue barely pulled back below. So a lot of this times, and it tried it twice here too. That was before the news story. So a lot of the times when this thing tries a few times and it can't go, then these algos just jump on and then it starts that. So that's looking kind of bearish. Just a guess. That's the thesis, right? So if this volume event turns bearish, and I don't know what this is yet because it hasn't got the ATR out of the zone, right? If it turns bearish, then I'm going to take barks and licks. It is bearish, but I'm saying if this event turns bearish, algo guy is bearish, I'm going to take barks and licks short. On the flip side, I could possibly take, so the bottom of this market profile is right around 45-ish. So I can't take a pick off of this profile is encouraged because it's not, if the volume event was up there, then I would take a pick short too because it's moving out here. And thesis wise, this is starting to look interesting, right? As far as I say interesting because I always want the markets to get destroyed, because it just makes no sense to me that the markets rally every day. Like we're on the brink of annihilation, World War III, and the market rallies. It just bugs me when it rallies, right? So anyway, this is telling you something. It couldn't get out of here, got back in, it just poked its little head and came all the way through it. Now it's outside of this. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. As of right now, thesis-wise, that's what it's looking at. So if I start getting short setups, I'm going to trade double-sized shorts off of that. And then, if this is it. This is the line in the sand as far as I'm concerned. I keep saying that, and it keeps finding a way to bungee jump here. If this comes back one more time and it gets through the bottom of this, through this tail, and then you're going to have a balanced breakdown of all this activity for the last 4 days, this thing's going to get smoked. My opinion, that's my thesis. It's a guess. I have no idea. But what does that mean? It just means if that happens, right? So say this starts to move lower, and I get an event like right there. There's all these strategies that I can take, but I'm going to take double-sized shorts because my thesis aligns with the MIME event that's short. That's all I'm doing. I'll still take longs. You see the Izzy long working here, right? I'll take longs. I'm a day trader because I have my area. I'll take the long. But I'm saying if this moves lower and I get bearish events, I'm trading them double size, A+ events. Or A+, meaning it's in line with my thesis. All right, I got to take a breath. You got questions, throw them in. YouTube, please. It's interesting. My levels are different on the SI. On what market, Edward? Ed Pierce. What we say too is you want to make sure your clock is synced correctly. So, meaning sync it to time. I'll show you here. And at least you'll be, it'll match with mine. You want to do, I don't know why it doesn't automatically. So you see right here, it says sync now. I'm syncing to time.nist.gov. Right, hit that. I don't know why it doesn't do it automatically. It just makes no sense, but whatever. So if your clock is off, it may, you see how like these events were kind of split here, right at the minute mark, because I have this set for a minute. So at the minute mark, it's going to pull back, and then it's just this is reset mode. You can get sliding mode. So some traders remember have sliding mode. I had sliding mode initially, but they had a bug, and I bug in it, so I went to reset. I just like reset because it's easy for me to see this and just add them up. So you can see here if I do sliding, watch how this changes. See how that changes? Like it's not that I want to ignore this, right? This is obviously one house here. I just like to see the blip where it cuts off and then comes back in, and then it's just the way I like to look at it. But if you can have sliding, and your zones will be more accurate sometimes too. Like if you whatever zone you have. The zone drawer, I think, is going off the on chart. But if you're drawing off the sub chart, like I've done for years and years and years before I had the zone drawing tool, you can use the sliding mode too. I just like to have reset here to see it in this fashion. And then the zone. And remember, Edward, I merged these together. These were two zones. So I picked up this one and this one. I merged them together, which you should. This is one house, right? That's why it was one big blob of iceberg. It doesn't matter if you're on the East Coast. I mean, you should still have the same zone drawn. This is the only thing that's going to change down here. The point is I merged them together, and it depends if you're on sliding or reset. But it really doesn't if you have the zone drawing tool, because this is drawing off of the on chart information. That's how my developer, Johan, he's a trader in my trade room. That's how he built it. So, yeah, it'll match that, but it's actually drawing off the on chart. So if you need to adjust, then you just go to this and you can adjust it, is what I'm saying. So. But make sure your time is correct. All right, I don't know what this is yet. This is the one ATR.
Sells $95 billion in 4 weeks.
I'm not taking the ATR trades on the webinars, guys. I barely take the ones as it is, just because they're too labor intensive. I'm trading for bigger moves. But if you want to scalp, like I said, the ATR is the best way to do that ATR trade. And so that was and then using ATR. This is what we've been talking about. So important. That's the volatility. And then advanced trading of the zones, and then my pretty face. So that's my course. You can get it at my website or Bookmap Marketplace. What else we got here? So this is my other website. If you want these inflection zones and the spreadsheet, you get it for free as part of my trade room. If you can't get in my trade room, you can. These are these zones here. These Izzy zones where important things have happened. You can get it here too, as a subscription if you can't get in the trade room. No, that's not it. Come on. Why will this not click? Because that's just my life. So, oh, there it is. That's this. See it as an independent subscription. Here's a spreadsheet if you want that, and then the inflection zone, and you can get them together. That's if you can't make my trade room. And here's my website. And here's my email. Got questions. Twitter. I post stuff. I try to post a trade of the day. Most days lately, it's been a little sketchy. I just haven't had a chance to put some in. Here's my trade room link. If you want to come to my trade room, I do the same thing every day. It's more advanced because people know what I'm talking about in there. These are all discounts to all this stuff. So Bookmap Basic Software, the MBO bundle that you need. This is the CME MBO bundle that gives you the enhanced trading data. So I'd like to show this too. So if you guys are not familiar with this, they came out with this probably 2017 now. Market by order data. That's how Bookmap is able to disseminate the data to figure out what the icebergs and the stops at 100% accuracy, right? So for some reason, I think there's one. I think Bookmap actually has it now too. I think they have their own data. I'm waiting to hear if that's correct. But most of these data services are still using market by price, and it's not showing you so that you right here. Right, market by price versus MBO. Market by price, total quantity, number of orders at price level, only summary information for the top 10 price levels. So even if you're using anything else, and you look at this depth of market, it's all fake. Nothing's real if you don't have the enhanced data. So up to 10 levels. I don't know if that's 10 levels. It's 2 net points in the S. So the point is, all this stuff you see up here is not real, right? It's not up to date. With the MBO data, you get a full order book look, right? And then you can see the liquidity, and you can see the stops, icebergs. By the way, this just validated as long, and I'm about to take this. Izzy, hold on, put in the wrong price, I think. What did I say? 50. 50 is the entry. So that looks like a tag. I just didn't have the order on the right. 57.50. So remember, I'm taking this Izzy long here. But anyway, that's the MBO data that powers. Rhythmic is one of the only data providers that gives you the data. I have no idea why. It's been 8 years now. It's a joke, but that's what it is. It's a joke, meaning these other data services don't provide it. All right, I just filled on that, Izzy. Yes, Izzy. So one of the areas I'll be watching here to get out, I only have 3 on, right? But that's what it. If I'm risk, well, I can put 4 on now. Let me change this. Let me put 1 more on here. If that comes up back up there, I'll put on another one. So let's see how that changed right there. So this is ever changing until I get. Well, now I'm filled. My stop is at 21.75. I don't change anything once I'm filled. But until you're filled, you want to be changing this price, right? Make sure you have the accurate price based on the current ATR. All right, so some of the areas that I will get out, like if this starts motoring up, it's not great risk reward based on what I'm risking here, right? But I'm not going to ignore if it fails at this area. Why? These are traders that are caught. These buyers, so say you bought up here and you have this kind of threshold where you can hold it for 30 points against you. What are you doing when it comes back here? You're saying, oh my God, thank you, God, please let me out. I'm a scratch. I promise I'll never do that again, God, if this comes back, right? These are conversations I used to have with myself. So everything that I do is based on my experience as a large scalper, right? There would be times that I would be in this situation, I'd be loaded up long, and it would do this. I would never hold it for 30 points, but just relatively, you understand what I'm talking about. I would say literally be holding my breath, about to have my hand on the puke button where I would just stop out, and it would start to come back, and I'd be like, okay, maybe it'll come back. Okay, I promise I'll never do this again. I promise, God, I'll never do this again if you just let me out of this trade. It comes back and I get out. Well, that is the concept. It's not a theory. It's what goes on where these guys say, okay, get me out of this trade. Thank God it came back, right? So the point is, when it gets to these areas, I will get out of some of my long because I know that's very likely going to at least bounce off at first time. It could rip right through there, but it's very likely going to reject it the first time, so I get out of some. That's one of my areas, and that's, again, in the Trading in the Zone document, is one of my areas that I will get out of some of my trade. Number 5. Right here, same day, prior SI events. Right, so I'm very consistent in where I piece out. I'm very consistent with where I get in based on this stuff. This is the best way you can trade like an algo. You just follow these prices, these values. You get in, you risk what you're supposed to risk, and then you get out at your important area. That's one of my important areas. I highly recommend you use this as one of your important areas too, where you get out. So that's one area I'll be watching, and then if it keeps motoring up, then I would watch. Another area I watch is point of control of the current market profile composite. That's right around 62. You got the bottom of this guy, that's right around the same area, and then you got the top of this where this failed earlier. So these are areas where I would piece out of the trade. I always try to hold one for the bigger move to the major lug. These are Ludwig levels. We'll go over that here in a second in the document. These things are unbelievable. They're the second strongest thing I've ever seen in futures trading, next to the SI stop iceberg stuff, right? So I'll get out of some. Remember I said 60. I'll get out of some at the top of this guy, right around 70, which is confluent with the yellow lug too. And then I'll try to hold one all the way to there. Unless the only way I'll get out of that last piece is if I get an opposing volume event that turns bearish. That's how I trade, right? So I always have a portion on for the much, much bigger move. If I get an opposing volume event, then I get out. I let the real-time action tell me what to do. See if you guys got any questions. I gotta hop off here in a few minutes. Dominique, since following you, I've seen a difference in my mindset in trading. I definitely started trading more with micros, allowing me to still in my trades longer. I'm sure it's supposed to say stay in my trades longer. The minis were killing my account. Yes, guys, there's nothing wrong with trading micros, right? Why would you put on one full one? Where it's all or nothing, right? So say I just put on one. Say this was 10, right? 10, or say it was 1. So this is based off a full contract, or 10 micros. Well, if I have 1 on and it gets up here and it starts to fail, I got to get out and I got nothing on. If I got 10 on, it gets up here, I can get out of 3, keep 7 on. Like, why would you trade one contract, right? Even 2 is a little better. If you could put on 2 full ones, you get out of 1 there and let 1 ride, it's fine. But there's nothing wrong with trading micros. Yeah, your commission would be a little higher, but I don't, unless you can trade multiple regular contracts, there's nothing wrong with micros. Like, it makes no sense. These educators out there that make fun of micros like it's something to be embarrassed about. It's absolutely not. It's a way to get out of partial position and not be risking a ton of money when your account size can't handle it, right? So again, if I'm risking $500 in a trade and I put on 1 micro here and I'm wrong, I mean one full one, and I'm wrong, I'm going to lose over $1,000.
Shortly expecting
when I can't be, you're going to blow out your account, right? So trade micros if you can't trade the big one. What's going on here? Well, I don't think I've ever seen this before. Let's see. Is this coming back to the zone? Don't want to jinx my room, but what just happened? I'm not trading these per se. That's the 1 ATR. Tag the 1 ATR. Of course, I said something and it bounced off, but that's the exit for that. So if you're trading the ATR trade, and this is the time of day you want to be trading it, because this is when algos just start really taking control of the market, as you can see, right? So another good rule of thumb, I don't follow it as much as I should, but I used to literally get up right now. This is 10:30 Central. I used to get up from 10:30 to 12:30 and just leave the office, because I've lost so much money. And I'm talking millions and millions and millions of dollars trading at this time period. This is when the big money in New York starts to go to lunch, and this is where algos. Back in the day, there was a guy I was trading against. He was the second biggest trader. Actually, he was bigger than me at the time. He could put on 6,000 contracts. I could put on 3. This is when he would just start running the show, right? Because he knew no one was in here to stop him. Right? It's the same thing going on now. These algos turn on. More algos turn on now. You can look at this. You can see it, because they know there's no big money playing in here, right? And then they start doing this with you. So the best thing to do is just not even trade from 10:30 to 12:30. And it's amazing. It's not just equities. It's all markets. There's guys in my trade rooms that confirm this. They wouldn't put their stuff into the trader sync. That's this. I gotta hop off here in a second too, guys. Traders sync here, and they look across all products, all losers between 10:30 and 12:30. So, good idea. As I said, I just got filled on the other portion of this Izzy long. So I'm long, but if you're going to trade right now, just be fully aware you are going to go through that very likely. All right, so I took Izzy long here. I'm going to watch this area. If it starts to struggle, I'm going to get out. I got 4 on. I'll get out of probably 2 up here, and then I'll get out of those other areas that we talked about and try to let it ride. Other than that, another crappy morning as far as not a lot going on. But I would really watch this. You could even take a failed balance breakout if this thing gets back through here. But if this breaks down, this is going to get killed. If not, I think it's coming back to highs. So it's all dependent on basically this balance right here. If this gets out of here, I think we're going to highs. If this breaks down, I think we're going to 0. So again, World War III is on the brink, and we just keep rallying. So if you make sense of it, that's why if you're trading fundamentally, you're getting your head kicked in because it makes no sense. Same thing with NASDAQ. Keep an eye on this balance area. Break out of this should be the next move. Again, that was if this market was going to rally, it had its chance. Put in that. I know it was a news story. If it overtakes this tail, then it's coming to at least that would be my guess on this balance breakout. This fails again, then I'm looking for 0. Not really 0, but pretty close. All right, guys, I do this every day in my trade room. Sorry there wasn't a lot going on here, but it is what it is. You just got, days are terrible. Watch other markets, and you can at least get, all this stuff is the same no matter what futures markets you're looking at. And then the other thing, too, we didn't really cover is the Apex stuff. That's what I have all these trading accounts set to. It's the best option and this is the one I put my name behind. I know there's a ton of them out there now. Use Pulcini 50 for any sale they have going on, anything they got going on. But this is the best way if you're learning this stuff. If you're underfunded, just get one of these. It's a fraction of the cost of real trading, and if you get funded, then you can trade normal. There's a bunch of guys that are using Apex, guys and girls in my room, and they've been paid. Guys are being paid. They've been putting it in. I've been posting it, so that's the one that I back. All right, that's it.